Hey, everybody. It's me again, Daniel House and the Creative Asylum, and another video about the upcoming episodes for, in this case, June 2026. And just like the last video where I expressed my desire to do one of these every month, and I didn't do one last month, so I totally skipped June. So in this video, I'll just talk a little bit about everything that just came out in June. I'll include links in the show notes. And that way, if you want to see these episodes, you can just go to the notes, click on them, and watch those ones because, well, as I always tell you, they're all great. In June, we started off with a really exciting one, Gilbert and Jaime Hernandez. And if you're a comic book fan of any kind, you surely know their work with Love and Rockets, a comic book that mind-blowingly started 45 years ago. My first exposure to Love and Rockets was 1981. They released the comic independently initially, and then Fantagraphics picked them up. And these days, Fantagraphics is very much synonymous with Love and Rockets and vice versa. Obviously, Fantagraphics does a whole lot of stuff with a lot of cartoonists, but the absolute bulk of all the work that Jaime and Gilbert have done have been with Fantagraphics. And as far as I'm concerned, their work is some of the most important cartoon work of the last half century, like, period. They're right up there with Arcrum. After that, we had a interview with Jarboe. A lot of you probably know Jarboe as one of the key members of Swans. She wasn't a founding member, but she almost was. She joined in 1985 and stayed with them until their final record in 1997. Even while she was in Swans, she started putting out a bunch of solo records. So to date, as of the most recent record, she has, I believe, 17 solo records to her name. And then she's done a whole series of collaborations with other bands. The amount of work she's done is vast, even though she thinks she hasn't done very much, which I think is kind of hilarious. After that was an old friend, John Langford. I think maybe the only original member from the band Mekons. I could be wrong on that. Mekons first formed in 1976, quite literally 50 years ago. Their first record didn't come out till 1979, but John Langford's been with them that entire run. He's also done various side projects, but John's also known for a lot of really amazing, incredible artwork that he's done of a lot of Americana country artists. Hopefully you've seen his work because it's pretty astounding. Anyway, that was just another delightful conversation with another delightful human being. After that was somebody I wanted to interview for a while, the dark artist by the name of Chet Zar. Chet got his start working in the film industry, working with prosthetics and makeup and doing a lot of high-profile films, many of which you know. He also did a lot of work and has continued to do a lot of work with the band Tool. But for quite a few years now, he is known best for his oil paintings of monsters. And his tagline is, "I like to paint monsters," which is exactly what he does. And he does them beautifully. He's also the host of the Dark Art Society podcast and runs that website as well. The final June episodes was with Toby Poser and John Adams, also known as the Adams family. And family is right. They are the reigning family of DIY horror. John and Toby and their two daughters, Lulu and Zelda, have made half a dozen films, and they literally do everything. They write, they direct, they produce, they make the music for it. They actually have a band together called Hellbender. And yeah, the whole kit and caboodle. They do the whole thing, and it's kind of amazing. Their movie catalog includes The Deeper You Dig, 2021's Hellbender, which is where I got my start, and so as a result, it's one of my favorites. After that was Where the Devil Roams, which is probably my second favorite of their films. And then they did Hellhole, and then most recently Mother of Flies. They've actually completed work on their newest film, but it's not out yet. We talk about that as well. Anyway, here we are, well into the video, and I haven't even gotten to July yet, so let's dive in. We start July 7th with Chris Connelly. He was one of the key members back in the heyday of the Wax Trax industrial days of Chicago of the band Revolting Cocks. He's also done a lot of work with Al Jorgensen in Ministry and just a whole bunch of bands from that period of time. But since then, he's also done a ton of solo work. His new stuff is a lot more troubadourish, I guess, just singer-songwriter. Anyway, he's another delightful human, and it's a great conversation. After that, I have a conversation with Steve Berlin. You know Steve Berlin. He is the saxophone player for the band Los Lobos. But prior to being in Los Lobos, he was one of the early members of the LA punk scene, the first wave, playing with the Blasters and the Flesh Eaters. He's also a producer, and his list of production work is really too extensive to go into. But know that he has been nominated for 10 Grammys. He's won 5 Grammys, 3 of them for Los Lobos, and then 2 of them for other work that he's actually produced. After that, on the 21st of July, we have an interview with Jesse Duquette, who you may not know the name, but if you spend any time on Instagram, and especially if you're politically aligned, you probably know Jesse's work. He is the most shadow banned artist on Meta. He has somewhere in the neighborhood of 200,000 followers and creates some of the most biting and critical and dark and intensely hilarious anti-Trump, anti-fascism cartoons out there. I've been a fan of his for a long time, and I was just like, I got to interview this guy. His work's amazing. I don't know his background, but we get a little more background in the conversation. And then we end the month with one of my 90s crushes. I probably shouldn't admit that, but it's true. Miki Berenyi. If you were ever a fan of the band Lush on the 4AD record label, she was the main singer and guitar player, the one with the bright red hair, kind of unmistakable and unmissable. But after the closing of Lush, for a long time, she didn't make music. And then there was a band that put out a couple records called Piroshka. And then in the last year or two, she put out a rather remarkable memoir called Fingers Crossed: How Music Saved Me from Success. And in preparation for the promotion of that book, she put together a band called the Miki Berenyi Trio, or MB3. Initially, it was just to play some Lush songs, but then they started writing a bunch of new stuff. They've actually put out this incredibly lush and beautiful record and are actually working on their follow-up record right now. So yeah, that's July. That's June and July. Kind of amazing. So coming up, you can look forward on July 7th to Chris Connelly. July 14th, Steve Berlin. July 21st, Jesse Duquette, and we close out on the 28th of July with Miki Berenyi. As always, thank you for being here. And if you haven't already, do us the honor and the favor, please, of, liking this video and subscribing if you're not already a subscriber. We're trying to get to 2,000 and we're well on our way. So here's to a great July.